Welcome back to the Battle Camp. Thank you for clicking on this video. If it's your first time, please hit the subscribe button. If you've been here before, thank you for coming back. So Bob Arum spoke to Bucking Social yesterday, and he confirmed that Anthony Yarde and Kovalev have agreed terms and they'll be fighting in Russia, and they're basically just working out the dates and venues, and when they have that sorted, an official announcement will be made. He didn't actually use those specific words. I think I'm being might be a little bit kind of misdirecting. It's just what I kind of ascertained from what he said, if that makes sense. He said that he'd been speaking to Frank and everyone's happy with the deal. They're going to be fighting in Russia sometime in June or July. So just by that, I thought, well, they're probably trying to sort out the venues and stuff. So maybe I've just fucking being a tabloid and making stuff up. But for all intents and purposes, it looks like the fight's going to happen, and it looks like it's going to happen in Russia. Earlier on today, I saw on Twitter that some Russian billionaire I don't know which one, what his name is. It didn't say on Twitter. It just said a Russian billionaire is financing this fight, and Yarde is making $4.2 million. $4.2 million. That's a fucking shed load of money. I don't know if Yarde's a millionaire yet. I mean, with his Adidas Global, being an Adidas Global ambassador, I'm pretty sure he gets paid. Gets paid handsomely for it. But I don't know. I doubt he's a millionaire just yet. But he will be once he fights Kovalev, if this $4.2 million rumor is true. And when he's being offered that sort of money, it's hard to turn down. So I started thinking about all of the stuff that Tunde Ajayi was saying in the lead up. So from when the announcement was made that Yarde was now the mandatory and they had a certain amount of time to negotiate and all purse bids would be called by a certain date, etc. And the stuff that Tunde Ajayi was saying in public, and what's happened now is basically what Tunde Ajayi was saying would never happen. He was saying that for no amount of money, we're not going to travel to Russia or the States because there's a big chance that we would get screwed by the judges in those countries. Basically saying it's a corrupt place, effectively, fighting in the States or Russia, and he wouldn't let Yarde put himself in that position. I made a couple of videos about Tunde Ajayi previously, so you can look at those for supplementary information. I'm not going to cover that off now. I've had my fucking rants and moans about it already. I just want to talk a little bit about a point that I made in one of my previous videos about this whole situation. And what I basically said is it's time for Yarde to step up, and it's time for Yarde to say to Tunde Ajayi and Frank Warren that no, I want this fight. I'm happy with what these, whatever Kovalev's team have offered me. I want to take this opportunity to fight for the World Championship. And personally, I believe that's what's happened now. Up until this point, Yarde has been deferring all responsibility for his opponents to Frank Warren and Tunde Ajayi, basically saying, I'm ready to fight for a world champion now. He was saying this a year, 18 months ago. He was saying, I'm ready to fight for a world title now. It's just these guys, whoever they put in front of me, I'm happy to fight. He was literally just removing himself from all responsibility for the caliber of opponent he'd been fighting, and basically saying, these guys are the ones that are navigating my career. They're the ones who are in charge in terms of my opponents. My job is just to train and show up, turn up, blow up lines in the camp. We don't get weak, we get deep. But yeah, so that's what he was saying. I think now he's basically turned around and said, nah, fuck that, I'm taking this fight. So Tunde Ajayi, you can keep your opinion and your advice to yourself on this occasion. I need you to train me, but I'm ready for this fight. Who knows, this $4.2 million offer, if it's true, Tunde Ajayi might have said, fuck me, let's go, let's do it. That's a lot of money, you're not going to make that anywhere else. That's more money you've made in all of your previous fights combined, you'd imagine. And then I basically just started thinking about this relationship, and that just kind of exploring that point a little bit further when I said how Yarde's been deferring all kind of responsibility to Tunde Ajayi and to Frank Warren. Now, Frank Warren's been quite open in public, talking about how he think Kovalev's there for the taking, and Yarde will give him a good test, and Yarde can. It's a winnable fight for Yarde, and he was openly admitting that he thinks Yarde should take this fight. Tunde Ajayi was the only one putting barriers up. He was putting barriers up, and making what's the right word? He was putting barriers up, and he was making demands about how the fight should be packaged and where it should happen, etc. And if those demands aren't met, Yarde won't be fighting Kovalev. Now, all of those demands that Tunde Ajayi was making haven't been met, right? So I started thinking about the relationship that Tunde Ajayi and Anthony Yarde have. And although Tunde Ajayi calls himself the master genius, their relationship isn't that of a traditional trainer-boxer. Traditionally speaking, a trainer-boxer relationship is much like a student and teacher. So you might get on really, really well with your English teacher at high school, but you wouldn't necessarily cross a line and tell your English teacher to shut up. There's a certain level of respect and a difference in positions between a relationship between a student and a teacher. And looking at how Tunde Ajayi and Anthony Yarde have behaved in interviews with IFL TV, Boxing Social, because you often see them together, getting interviewed together, and it happened again yesterday on IFL TV. It was Dillian Whyte, Tunde, and Anthony Yarde. Anthony Yarde, I've got something on my tongue. I think it might be a hair. Anthony Yarde openly cusses Tunde Ajayi, tells him to shut up, and tells him that he's hungry for the camera, calling him a camera whore. When Kugan Cassius asked Anthony Yarde a question, he before he answered it, he said to Tunde, "He's asked me a question, don't talk." But it's not like him being rude. They're friends. They're more like friends than teacher-student. So their relationship is very different to how you generally see boxers and trainers behaving, especially in front of the camera. And the reason why I'm discussing this is because I think this relationship is what's enabled Anthony Yarde to turn around and tell Tunde Ajayi and tell Frank Warren that no, I'm happy with this deal. This is what I want to do. This is the fight that I want to take. Obviously, this is a situation I know fuck all about. I don't know any kind of intimate details. All I'm doing is sitting on the outside, watching snippets of interviews on camera, and people behave differently on camera than they do behind closed doors, obviously, and making assumptions off the back of that. So people might be showing a side to themselves that they don't show behind closed doors, or they might be showing not them true, the 100% true version of themselves on camera. So the conclusion that I'm coming to isn't very accurate at all, because I'm not working with I'm not working with correct information. Do you know what I mean? But I thought it was very telling, the fact that Dillian Whyte had a 40-minute interview with Kugan Cassius yesterday, but Anthony Yarde didn't sit down with Kugan Cassius, and neither did Tunde Ajayi. And if there's one thing that we know about Tunde Ajayi, he loves talking in front of a camera. Loves it. Just go on his fucking Instagram. He loves it. Why was that? Why didn't they talk to Kugan? The more I think about it, I think it's because they know a deal is imminent. And if Kugan puts a camera on them, the first thing he's going to ask them is, Kovalev, what's going on? And because there hasn't been an official announcement, can Tunde keep playing the same role that he's been playing up until now? Can Tunde keep talking about, oh no, the fight has to happen in the UK. Yarde's the A side, even though terms are already agreed. Does that make sense? Or if he was to change his tune without an official announcement, how would that look? Anyway, this is all obviously speculation, conjecture, innuendo. I fucking might be 100% wrong, right? This is just my opinion off of what I've seen. But the bottom line is you got to fucking put your hand up and say well done to Yarde for accepting this. Because he's not even doing it in the fucking States. He's going to Russia. One thing I've got to say is just don't drink any water that they give you or eat any food that they give you. Fucking make sure you buy your own water from shops that you fucking just go down to their Tesco, where it is, and buy some fucking sealed water, because you don't know, who was it that it happened to? There was a fighter that drank some water and fucking tested positive. Even fucking Tyson Fury, when he fought Vladimir Klitschko in Germany, he had his own water. He weren't even drinking the water that they gave him, just in case. And this might be going a bit over the top, but you got to be careful, man. You got to be careful. Anyway, I think I've spoken enough on this one, so let me know, put your comments below. Let me know what you think of this, what you think of Yarde, what you make of Yarde. And also, sorry, one quick last point. A lot of people have been talking about how, oh, this fight isn't going to happen. Yarde ain't going to fight Kovalev. If he didn't have the balls to fight Callum Johnson or Ajayi Burton or Frank Buglioni before he retired, why would he fight Kovalev? That was it's a logical way of looking at things, right? But to me, it's a risk-reward situation. Going into a fight with Ajayi Burton or Frank Buglioni at the time, because not now, at the time when this was being spoken about a year, 18 months, 2 years ago, it was kind of a 50-50 fight. Maybe 60-40 in the favour of Yarde. But a loss would be damaging to Yarde's career, because he was being built as this knockout machine who's, oh, he only started boxing a little while ago, but look how fucking talented he is. A loss to Kovalev, although the risk from a sporting point of view is there's a higher risk of losing to Kovalev than there is to losing to a Ajayi Burton. But the difference is, against Ajayi Burton, it'd be 50-50, or he'd be the favourite. I'm talking about Yarde. Whereas against Kovalev, he's blatantly the underdog. And Kovalev is a proven world-renowned, world-level fighter. And if he loses to Kovalev, he was supposed to lose. So the risk in terms of the next step in his career isn't as high, because what was expected to happen, happened. Whereas if he loses to a Callum Johnson, or if he loses to a Ajayi Burton a year ago, 2 years ago, then it's just a case of, oh, this is just a hype machine, it's a load of bollocks. All of the momentum that he built up is gone. Whereas if he loses to Kovalev now, and he kind of looks good doing it, and he holds his own in that fight, then he's actually raised his profile. He actually comes out a bigger star than he is at the moment. So I think there's a good possibility this fight does happen, especially if this $4.2 million rumour is true. It's a fight that he genuinely isn't expected to win. When the betting odds come out, he'll be underdog. Would he have been an underdog in a fight against Ajayi Burton and Frank Buglioni? I don't know. So yeah, I think this fight is going to happen. Anyway, I think I've gone on too long. I wanted to try and keep this under 10 minutes, and I've fucking fucked that up, and put your comments below. Let me know what you guys think. Don't be scared to share this, and please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I'll catch you guys next time.